Okay, so tonight, people, objects and events that we value in the right context. What about levels? What about levels? Now, last week we were talking about hearing from God. And the reason it's really important, actually last week was it ended up being about altars. Where are you placing your time? Where are you placing your money? Where are you placing your hope? Like we can look back into the pagan days, and they literally sacrificed their children so they could get the favour with the gods. You know, and that was common. That was Abraham's culture, right? Or they, you know, you go to Asia. When I was in Bali, I kept stepping in those little little things on the footpath, and I had Crocs on. So I just used to fill up my Crocs with soy sauce all the time. I was just kicking these little offerings to their gods. Everywhere, all over the footpath. And you walk in the shop, and I was constantly kicking these things and knocking them over. And
Surprised no one went chasing after you.
Yeah, I suppose no one killed me, but anyway. But you know, that was their altar. And so the altar is the thing. Your altar is your dominant thought. So what's your dominant thought? Is it money?
Fried chicken, Mike?
Fishing for Mike.
Fried chicken for Mike. Anyone else want to up?
Oh,
Fishing, fried chicken. There's definitely
you know me.
Catching that fish.
And then, so when God says, let there be light, we know light was produced, and God looked at the light and he said the light is good. But then once he created all of creation, including humanity, God said it is very good. So there's a pure example of a level. It's all basic stuff, but if you don't think about it, you tend to look at the world in black and white.
Can I share what I got today?
No.
Yeah.
From the
Let
Lord?
Derek go on his roll.
No, I'll let Derek continue.
Hold that thought,
Sorry,
right?
I'll hold that thought.
The
Because
story
we're
that
recording.
came up just now, isn't it? Just right
Hold
now.
that thought.
Yeah, I'll hold the thought.
Definitely hold that thought.
Yeah,
So,
I'll let Derek talk.
Don't let
Sorry.
it
because actually when we
go.
get
Let it grow.
to the end of it,
Yeah.
then there is going to be discussion. So get the whole picture first, and then look at it, because it's actually active in every single one of our lives right now as we're sitting here. Even sitting in this chair, there's a level of comfort. And as I'm sitting here, the longer I sit here, I'll probably do this, or I might even do this.
That's me
or,
every night. I can't sleep.
yeah. So there's levels of comfort. So this is what the Lord gave me on Saturday. So one trap we often fall into is thinking in concepts that are black and white. I can tell you one thing, when you're thinking in your subconscious, you are thinking in black and white, literally. I know because I put a green petrol pump into my diesel car. And I should have been black, and I didn't see the difference in the colour.
Amount of time I check.
And I drove off with a blue iPad sitting on the bonnet of a white car, and I didn't see it. It's because I'm thinking in black and white. You actually dream in black and white, and you think in black and white. But this is because we think we can better control people, objects, and events if they are categorized into manageable absolutes. So that person is just a Muslim. That person's a Christian. That person's gay.
What do you mean dream in black and white, did you say?
You do dream in black and white, yeah.
Really?
Yeah. Next time you're dreaming, you check. You're dreaming in black and white.
Colours.
Very rarely you'll get a little bit of colour coming, but most of it's in black and white.
I get colours.
Yeah, I do.
Derek's like, okay.
Yeah, I had a dream last night.
My dreams look real. I can't.
All right, hold that thought, Deb.
Colour.
Hold that thought.
Yeah.
Hold that thought, because we're going to come back to that.
Don't tell me about my dream.
The truth, however, is that there are levels within those absolutes. For love, for example, love is a feeling that can be good to very good. Now I'm hearing, why are you telling me all this? Because if you're not aware of it, you're living just a very a life that's sort of, it's an absolute, and you've got a lot of blind spots there. You've shifted all that stuff that's in the middle just to either one end or to the other end. So it's important as we start moving into the gifts of God. Our first gift is wisdom, words of wisdom. There are levels of words of wisdom. Now you guys are already operating in levels of wisdom. But in God's wisdom, is it a 10 or is it a 1? Or is it a 2 or is it a 3 or is it a 4 or is it a 5 or is it a 6? And once you understand what God's wisdom is, you can then make an assessment. And you can
Good subject.
And you can decide whether, is that okay for me? Or do I want to go deeper? All right? This is why it's all about levels. Levels create contrast and variety in the absolutes. So it might be people, objects, and events that we value, or what kind of people? At what level? What kind of level of people are we looking for to be the source of our happiness, peace, and joy? What kind of people is God looking for to be the source of his happiness, peace, and joy? And instead of just having black and white, we have all the colours of the rainbow now. Now, saying, Daniel, how many colours can you generate with magenta, green, and the orange? Yellow. There's just millions. 3 colours, that's just 3 of colours of the rainbow. Millions of colours. This is the way God's developed this dimension that we live in. It's not just black and white. It's blends. 7 main colours in the rainbow. And yet, how many coloured greens are there in just trees?
Yeah.
I got a revelation about that one day, I tell you, it blew me away. But you have to train your senses to recognise these levels for what they are. Otherwise, you can oversimplify and live in a world of only seeing 2 colours. Creation at its heart is basic, but because of the blending, there's a massive variety. And this includes you. This includes the people that you're going to come across. God didn't make us robots, but creative beings in our own right, with the ability to free think within the guidelines of God's love. So what level are you on? And this is God talking to me as well too. Have you reached the pinnacle of your creativity, or have you barely begun? You've probably reached the pinnacle, so I exclude you. Seeing what you do on the trapeze, that's awesome. So using numbers helps us to see where our priorities lie and enables us to identify the areas that bring us the greatest joy and the areas that bring us the greatest grief. Giving an absolute a rating out of 1 to 10 sorts the absolutes by identifying the level of feeling the absolute creates. Everything around us creates feelings, both subconsciously and consciously. So being aware of our levels and the levels of those around us will help us in our journey of love. For example, we all love food, but at what level does food become uncomfortable or even unhealthy? Each person has
Pause on that one.
Hey?
The one about the food.
We love food, but at what level?
At what level? What do you mean by at what level?
At what level does food become uncomfortable or even unhealthy?
So like 3 cheeseburgers or 5 cheeseburgers?
Yeah, you've been to a
Okay.
smorgasbord? Had your third helping of
How
pavlova?
big
That
are the
level.
cheeseburgers? Are
It's
they?
uncomfortable.
What
When
about
your
this, for
stomach
example?
feels sick.
Hold that thought.
Yes, you could have 1 chocolate a day, maybe
Hold
have
that
10
thought, we'll come
chocolates
back
a
to
day.
And
Come back
then
to
you
it.
feel
Oh,
sick
forget
in the stomach.
You'll forget it, okay.
Yeah, but uncomfortable, right? I used to really like Cadbury's chocolate, right? Until I found out it had recycled aborted babies' tissue in it, along with Nestles.
There you go.
And I downloaded off the internet and I sent it to different people to warn
Yeah.
them.
So they don't put that on the ingredients, they just put it in.
Apparently Lint did a study, and that's what they found. Their opposition was putting baby.
What's the name? Maggi stock cubes
Oh.
have got it in it too, but
But they'd put it in the ingredients, wouldn't they? Or you don't reckon?
Well, they change the names of it. Like, you know how, what is it called? Monosodium glutamate. That's got about 5 different names, and they put the different names on the
Gotta
back of the
research
product.
it.
So people read it and they go, what's that? I don't know what that is.
Yep.
So they do the same with apple. Since I found that out about 6 months ago, I've stopped eating Cadbury's and Nestle. So I'd go to Aldi and buy the chocolate from Europe because they would never allow it over there. But I
Do
thought
you remember when Aldi got
uncomfortable,
done
right?
putting
Uncomfortable,
horse
what level is
meat,
are you
horse meat
uncomfortable
as
with?
the mince?
Well, you that is a
That
level of
was years ago.
uncomfortability.
Yeah,
Like that
because
happened.
my
My mum told me
intellect
that
just
it was
totally
mince, but it was like
overrode
horse, like
Yeah.
it was
and my
horse, it
conscience.
wasn't like-
Yeah.
got so
The
broke.
emotions of eating, like we all love
Yeah.
eating. So is that
Got
what you mean
so
by
big
levels?
Yeah.
Levels.
There's all
I
different
thought it
levels.
was Okay.
You could love chocolate, but what if you have a heart attack and now suddenly that chocolate's killing you? Doctor tells you it's now killing you.
Yes,
You
all
can love
over,
it.
all over the internet that chocolate is good for you in moderation.
So each
Yeah,
person,
dark cacao chocolate natural would be.
each person,
Antioxidant.
Cocoa powder.
each person, each
It's healthy.
each person, each person has their own set of value levels. So comparing yourself to another person's level is not a true measure of what will bring you your happiness. There are often background stories that you don't see that are part of the result that you see on the surface. And you could see someone who's just incredibly wealthy, but you don't know what's going on in the background. They look good, smell good, but everything might be on lease, might be mortgaged to the hill, might be had a divorce with their wife because there's now no money in the bank. They
Or
might
their
be all-
wife and family might have died in
Addictions.
an accident, so they're in grief.
You don't know. You don't know the background story. Yeah.
Um,
So the 3 main areas in life that bring us our happiness, and they were people, objects, and events. Every minute of every day, people, objects, and events at different levels. The goal in life is to live the good life. I thought you guys just jumped
Or
right
the
on
very
that
good life.
one. And for ourselves and for others. For ourselves and for others. So Jesus taught, as the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Continue in my love. That's a level. See it?
Okay, because can I just pause you there? Like, so the goal in life is to live the good life, right?
Yep.
So what if you go around all these church landscapes and you can't find yourself living the good life?
They're not living the good life.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I'm going like, at what level?
At the level of God's love.
Yeah. So
That's
I'm
the good
going.
life.
Okay, nothing here this time.
Yep.
You know, like.
Yeah,
so
don't stay there.
it's
People
like-
people just stay there being miserable their whole life, and because
That's
they
right.
Yes,
you
it's
know.
one church I've been going
Yeah.
to for a year. There's
Yeah.
only 2 people that talk to me in the whole place.
yeah, I know.
And when I walk in the door, the husband will go, "Oh, Deborah, good to see you," and then the wife will say, "Oh, come and sit here while we're having the coffee," and that's it.
Just lost my
After
Wi-Fi.
1 year. Sorry.
It's alright, just lost my
That's
Wi-Fi.
alright.
So I'm trying to think. Okay, at what level?
Is anyone
How does
reading
that-
the screen? I can
How
turn
does that
turn that off
apply
now.
to that? At what level? Happiness at what level?
So
How-
Jesus
how
said.
would I apply that?
So Jesus said, "As the Father has loved me,
But 1 out of 10.
so I have loved you. Continue in my love." Jesus saying, "Continue in my love." Not that church's love. Not your parents' love. Not Hollywood's love. My love. Jesus says, "As the Father has loved me, so I have loved you. Continue in my love." At what love is Jesus loving? At the level of the Father's love. It goes on. If you keep my commandments, it's the same chapter. If you keep my commandments, that word commandments, if you look it up in the Strongs, it means an authoritative prescription. So the first thing that jumps to your mind when you say authoritative prescription is a doctor, yeah?
The first thing that comes into my mind is the law of God.
Yeah.
The laws of God. That's
Excellent.
the actual essence of the whole legal system on the whole planet, is the law of God.
Yeah.
That he gave Moses, and what we've got left of it today in this world.
So So commandments, people think commandments is just do it. But Jesus, when you look up the word commandments, it actually, the Greek says an authoritative prescription. A prescription is designed to make you better. And it's not just a throwaway line, it's from somebody who actually has an authority in that field. So Jesus is saying, I'm giving you guys an authoritative prescription. You want to make your life better? Keep my commandments.
And with the word prescription, you automatically think of a doctor's prescription, don't you?
You do. And in theory, it's supposed to be, prescriptions are supposed to help you, but that's not the case anymore. That's a side issue. So if you keep my commandments, you shall abide in my love, even as I have kept my Father's commandments and abide in his love. Again, levels.
I was just reading that. Is that 1 John chapter 4?
Yeah. There you go. I have spoken these things to you so that my joy, Jesus' joy, might remain in you. So you can have Jesus' joy and your joy might be full. Levels. Your joy might be full. So out of 10, what's that?
10
What's
out
full?
of 10.
10 out of 10. Full is 10 out of 10. This is my commandment, that you love one another as I have loved you. Levels. How did he love his disciples? How did he love us? So much so that he
Love your neighbour as you love yourself, and love the Lord your God with all your heart, all your mind, all your soul.
Yeah. That's 10 out of 10. No one has greater love than this. No one has greater love than this. No one has 10 out of 10 love like this, that a man lay down his life for his friends. Everyone just thinks, oh, you've got to die for your friends. But it's not. It means you've got to live for your friends. Not die for your friends, live for your friends. Be conscious of your friends. Be aware of your friends. What brings me here every Tuesday night? You're my friends. What made me write the book? I just want to change the world. I want everyone to recognise God's love as I recognised it and it just pulled me out of my depression.
Yeah, Jesus said that about his disciples. I call you not, what was it, but friends.
Hold that thought.
Okay.
You are my friends if you do whatever I command you. I could have read that whole thing. You did. I know you did, because it goes on to say that. I no longer call you servants, but I call you friends.
That's right.
Because the servants don't know what the master is doing, but friends do, and we do, guys. We know what God's doing. We've seen past the veil of the cross, and we've looked into the heart of God, and now God is beginning to work in our hearts. This is what I got tonight, just before I came. God is building his final ark. Those in Christ are already on board with God's love. Outside in the rising waters are the drowning. We don't jump over the side to save them, or else we will also drown. We throw them a life buoy. You know those round life buoys? That's what they do. Sailors, they don't jump over the side to save someone who's fallen over the side. You throw a life buoy and it's got a rope on it. It's connected to the ark. They must take the next step, as we cannot do it for them. They have to grab hold of that life buoy. So I'll repeat that. Don't jump over the side and try and save people. Stay in the ark. Stay in the ark which is in Christ. Stay in the anointed presence of God's love. And that love, that peace, if you find yourself getting agitated, find the peace. God puts the peace in your heart first, and then he puts the idea in your mind. Sarah?
I am listening.
Yeah, I know you were. I just heard a bit of your conversation.
Yeah.
So I just thought, oh,
And then pull them in.
get the peace in your heart first. Don't make any decisions from anxiety
Yeah.
or anger or frustration or... I don't want to be looking at people specifically because it's not, I'm just generalising, okay? Derek, right? We throw them a life buoy because, see, we do care about people, but we've got to be careful about how we rescue them. We've got to do it in God's love. We've got to do it in a way. I was at I used to be music director in this church, and my music, one of my song leaders came up and they said, this girl who's playing the keyboard, why don't you just get rid of her? She's just causing havoc everywhere. And I said, no, Sandy. I'm slowly winding her, and then she takes off, and then I'm slowly winding her, and then she takes off, and then slowly winding her. And she looks at me and she says, you know what? Sometimes you just got to cut the string, otherwise it'll just pull the whole boat down. And she was right. I thought, I'm not throwing out hooks. I'm throwing out life buoys. That's what I'm throwing out. I thought it's not a good analogy. I'm wheeling them in. I'm throwing out a life buoy and I'm ready to pull them in.
Because you jump in and try and help.
I guess when you're throwing it, it's their choice if they're going to take it or not.
Absolutely right.
You can try, but then it's up to them.
That's
to
your
grab
job.
onto it.
Have something. So the website's going to be part of that. And what I'm thinking about, and Mel, you might be able to help me with this, is just a business card
I
that
can do that.
that we can carry around in our wallets. And so that when we meet these people, often there's not time or it's not the circumstances, but you know that they're searching.
Great idea.
And so we give them that card and it points them to the website.
Okay, sure.
With a QR code or something.
The
yeah,
QR
you can
code on
do
it.
the website and QR code. And stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got something like that.
So they must take the next step as
I'll
we
do that
cannot
for
do
you,
it
Derek.
for them. They have to actually grab hold of it. And if they don't grab hold of it, don't jump over the side and try and save them. There are also others on the ark who can help pull them in. Right? Some people might go, man, I'll just cut the line if I was. There's others on the ark who'll help you pull them in. You are not alone. Halfway is not enough. You pull them in halfway and they go, well, that'll do. No, it won't do, will it? Only halfway to the ship. You've got to actually get them in the ship. And if they refuse to get into the ark, then they will be cut loose. Otherwise, they will pull the ark under with them. God the Father is going
That
to.
sounds like the two people I work for.
God the Father is going to cut them loose.
Pull them in anyway and tie them down. I'm kidding.
They won't get into the boat. I mean, it's an analogy. So,
Yeah,
But-
no, I'm just joking.
but you know what? That's what God's going to do. People might go, "Oh, that's a bit rough." You know, like doesn't God love everybody? I was talking about God. God's gonna. There's a time coming where God's just going to cut the rope.
Yeah, I've
on the
seen
rest
it
of
happen many
humanity.
times in people's lives trying to
Yeah.
help people. And
This is another thought that came too. Is God the Father gives us His power, which He is. We have to be careful to cherish it and guard it. So when God gives us the ability to flow in words of wisdom, and as we grow in that from a 1 to a 10, there's a responsibility with it. God gives me words of wisdom for people all the time. That doesn't mean I tell them. I might get into a conversation and see how open they are first. I just, and some people need to just speak their heart before I'm going to share my word of wisdom with them. I need to build some credibility with them. But then some people aren't interested in staying around long enough to build that credibility, but I care about people. I care about everybody on the face of this planet, but I don't worry about any of you. It's not my job to worry about you. I can't help you by worrying about you. All it does is create negative.
yeah,
I'm
you
better off
can't share
caring for
God's
you
love.
out of love. Worry's another, it's next level fear in a way.
You can't have faith and trust in God and have fear.
And have worry, can you?
No, they can't
Yeah.
go together. They don't mix.
And I would suggest that you guys think in the same terms.
It's like oil and water.
Care for people,
Don't mix.
but don't worry about them.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm not worried about you, Derek.
That's great. See,
I
Daniel's
care about you,
got
but I don't give a damn.
it. Do you care about them?
I care about you.
That's all that care. That's all that
Yeah,
matters.
there's a difference.
Yeah. And I just wonder I think God's the same. I think it's the heart of God the Father. He cares about us, but He doesn't worry about us. He's not losing sleep over us. He's thrown out the lifeline. It was His only Son. If no one's going to grab hold of it, well then he's got, okay, that's your choice.
Isn't it the worst when if someone says to you, "Oh, I'm so worried about you"? Wouldn't that just doesn't make you feel
No, it
better?
doesn't even
does
make
it?
you feel good, does it?
It makes you feel like they're trying to guilt trip you if someone says, "I'm
Yeah.
worried about you."
Yeah.
I'll be like,
I'm so worried about you, Daniel.
"No, I'm worried about you worrying about me."
I hate that when there's nothing to even worry about. I'm like, I'm fine.
Yeah.
And it makes
Yeah,
you
well, don't.
feel
because I'm not worried about me.
Yeah, you'd rather them.
No.
Yeah, it makes you feel like you should be.
It's just a
Then
wrong.
you have to kind of help them.
It's a wrong
to not
spirit,
worry
isn't
about
it?
you.
Yeah, that's right. Now you got to
Try
help
and
them
fix them to convince them that they don't need to
to
worry.
fix you. Yeah, it's just all wrong. So God the Father gives us His power, and we have to be careful to cherish it and guard it.
This part's a bit funny.
This is pretty. This is
I
levels.
was going to say, like with the worrying parenting, you know,
Oh yeah, helicopter parents.
parenting like
You're okay.
Yeah.
Don't worry about you.
Parents-
Oh.
You know what a helicopter parent is? That's what a helicopter
You
parent is.
sound like a helicopter.
Yeah.
That's what they call it, helicopter parenting. It's like it's just it's you know whenever there's a dictator, there's always a rebellion, even in families.
One of the guys I look after, his father had to go down to the school and threaten to kill one of the teachers down there because they were molesting the children.
Yeah.
Oh.
Wow.
So that parent was like so worried about the child that I went down there and threatened to kill the teacher. You do that again to my son, I'm going to kill you.
He should have probably gone to the police.
Or felt the
Yeah.
anointing then.
I remember my son was in the he was
What
two
was
bullies.
the anointing
The
on that?
strong love of a father, you know, I've
Yeah,
never been
yeah.
a parent because I haven't got children.
Oh,
But
yeah,
the
you-
strong love
Yeah.
of a parent that would kill someone that was threatening their child.
See, levels,
Mm.
passion in that
Yeah.
that protective aspect.
Mm.
Just
And
wait
that's
for
what
Sarah to come
husbands are supposed to have for their wives too, like, you know, protect them.
Yeah, there's.
Kill for them, I suppose.
But they're not. I've seen husbands who just, in protecting them, they just absolutely smother their wife. Like their wife can't do anything. They're not given credit cards. They're not allowed to drive the car. They're just basically locked in their house. Like this, it's just
That's not love, though.
that's not love. It's just this.
That's
It's just
control.
control.
That's
Yeah.
manipulation.
That's a whole lot of problems right there.
That's a whole
I
nother.
was thinking like
Another
about
story.
home,
Yeah.
home invasion where the guy that breaks in was like a criminal that's going to rape your wife and daughter or something, and then you pick up that chair there with a metal thing on there and knock their head off.
Yeah, and you're in court
Yeah.
for murder.
That's what I'll be doing.
Look,
If I
look at
was
that.
a man,
Look at that guy there
which I
down in.
probably am deep down inside.
I think it takes more wisdom,
Well, we all have the heart of God the Father.
more
So,
strength to not react in that way and
yeah.
do something wise, like call the police or.
My
Because
son was,
anyone can
yeah.
get angry very quickly, but that doesn't really result in.
But there's
Without
difference
calm.
with anger and protecting. Like
Yeah, but
Yeah.
the
You
police
you
will
can
take
take
3
without
hours to get
anger.
there.
You don't need to get angry in that situation, but you can
Can
protect.
be wise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like you can pick up a chair and protect someone without killing that person.
Yeah.
Like you don't need to
Go
knock their
turn
head.
into the Hulk.
You don't need to try and there's ways with that chair you can you
How
cannot
funny
kill
you
the
sound.
person. You know what I mean? Like
There's levels.
there's levels, yeah.
I actually spoke to a lawyer once that had that home invasion, and he said he had to put a bruise on his wife's arm so that he could tell the court that he did it in self-defense to protect the wife because she'd already been grabbed, which she
Yeah.
hadn't. So he had to lie in court and make out that the intruder had bruised
Yeah,
her
because of the
in order
court
to
system.
get off, so he didn't get an assault charge.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's how screwed the law is. But anyway.
So something came to me tonight as well too, which was so as God gives us His power, we have to be careful to cherish and guard it. So traditionally, churches have sort of measured that when people have risen up through the ranks of leadership and authority within a church organisation, there's usually 3 things for men and there's 2 things for women that take them out. And you can agree with me or not agree with me, but this is just what they've sort of found. And so being aware of a trap is the best way to avoid it. So this is what the Lord's sort of saying. And I put underneath this levels, levels, levels. Okay, so it's not black and white. So for men, the enemy's weapons are, so I'm not saying this is not just a man who's got a weakness, but this is what the devil's going to be throwing at us. It's going to be girls, gold, and glory.
The 3 Gs.
The 3 Gs, right?
Mm.
Now, I remember having this massive controversy at a home group meeting once, and this woman just went off her nut when I said that. It didn't give me the chance to explain. This is not scriptural, but this is what church fathers over the last 200 years have just realised. And if you see all the ones overseas that have fallen, it's either girls, gold, or glory. So if you're in it for the money, you're already on the wrong track. If you're in it for which is gold. If you're in it for the girls, obviously I suppose a lot would be in for the boys, weren't they, back in those days? But you know what I mean, though. Girls,
So you
gold.
replace those three words with sex, money, and pride.
Could be sex, money, and pride.
Because
Girls,
pride is what made Lucifer fall, because he wanted to be like God.
Yep. So when we have 1 million home groups worldwide, don't feel proud. It actually when I was a music leader, I used to get so many compliments on my music services. I mean, they were awesome. People used to go, and I just used to struggle with it because it was like, trying to stay humble, but at the same time, if no one's saying anything nice about your services, you kind of wonder, well, I'm doing something wrong. Until one day the Lord just said, the gift that you're using is my gift. I gave it to you. And I went, thank God for that. Because, it's his gift. And the Lord said, but you know what? You can feel a little bit of pride there because you've been faithful with it. You've been faithful with my gift. So if you're going to feel pride that you've been faithful with my gift. And I've never struggled with it ever since.
And that's what you'll share with others.
Yep.
So we could sit in this room and look at those 3 things and say, which one of those things is my weakness?
No. I'm just saying, though, which one of those things is the enemy going to come?
What do you mean no?
Derek, which one
of those?
Girls, gold, or glory?
Which one of those things is the enemy going to come at me with? Probably all 3.
Yeah, well, the enemy only goes for your weak spot because they know that the enemy plays the psychological games and tries to trip you up with your faults.
It's all distraction, isn't it?
So that'd be like, which one of those 3?
So that's fairly accurate.
Yeah, I've found it to be
And
fairly
it can be
accurate.
many different forms as well.
That could also transfer to men and women, I think.
Oh, I agree.
Sort
But,
of.
Women,
you know.
it's abuse of power and sexual immorality.
Like gold and glory.
yeah.
That's
Okay,
Those
so
3 words
It's the
summarise
same.
okay, so here's
like glory.
Here's an
being
example,
equal.
right?
here's an
Like
interesting
with
thought. I just want to
the,
ask you girls. What's more important to you, having power or having your name up in lights?
Sarah's face is
Is glory really important to you guys?
What
Do you
kind
really
of power?
do you really need to be praised? Do you need people worshipping you and praising you and saying how amazing you are?
Like one way of testing it with those 3 things, like say if you were like planning to get married and you're looking for a marriage partner, and then you go out with someone and then you're sitting there to wait to find out how much money they've got in the bank or how much business collateral or assets they've got, and base your decision on that, then therefore that would point to the fact that gold was your weakness.
Yeah.
Whereas if you
Gold's a big
got all
one,
dressed
though,
up in
yeah.
stilettos and a low-cut dress, a figure-hugging dress, and then walked in and then just sort of like blitzed the guy with the false eyelashes and everything and looked into his eyes for 3 hours, well, obviously your problem would be sex, wouldn't it? You know what I mean? So, and what was the other one? The
Girls, gold, and glory. So
the money and the sex. What was the other one?
this is actually more about when we start moving in. When we start moving.
Oh yeah, the pride would be you go to the date and you just sit there waiting for them to worship you. Like you go in there and see, evaluate how much they're gonna.
Do you want a guy to worship you?
How much they're gonna.
I don't think it's as important for girls.
The bride.
I don't think girls need that glory.
validation though.
As what men
A
do.
lot of girls,
No,
I think
they do.
today, a lot of
They
I
do.
think it's manipulation. All the
Not the girls here.
I think all the
a
lashes
lot
and
of
the
girls,
shoes.
a
And,
common
Not so
today
much in
is
that aspect of
identity.
it, that you want them to like care about you and stuff.
I-
but not
You want
so
them to
much
notice
the
you.
but not so much
But-
the.
Depends what we're
I
talking
don't
Pride.
about.
care
We're
if
talking
people
about
give me a compliment.
people who
or
know
not.
a lot of people
Like,
that-
Yeah.
I mean,
That's
That's a good way of
that
putting it.
doesn't
Has
Yeah.
anyone got
bother me.
any relatives here from the Philippines?
Yeah, I do.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, have you noticed how the Filipino women approach men? I've often looked at that.
Yeah, never noticed.
It is like so full out, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
years ago I knew this pastor that went for a holiday
Yeah.
to the Philippines, and these two women were at the airport to meet him and saying, "Oh, you're going to stay with us?" And he goes, "Oh no, I've got my accommodation organised." And they go, "No, you're coming to our place, and then you're either going to marry her or me."
Oh,
And
yeah.
he just arrived and they'd never met him before.
I've had
And
that.
guess what happened?
That's in many.
Guess what happened? The
cultures.
20
Filipinos,
The 24-year-old got married to him and he was like 60, and then all his adult children were older than her, and they all wouldn't
Yeah,
speak to him.
Good.
Yeah, I've
And
had
all the inheritance went to her, not to the.
That's
The
crazy.
when I've lived in certain
Sorry, I don't want to
countries.
sound racist,
No,
but
no,
I'm.
no, no.
Oh,
but
yeah.
I've like
Yeah.
Dominican
Yeah.
Republic. So
Yeah.
when I lived in Dominican
Oh,
Republic,
yeah.
you literally know a guy for 5 minutes, and obviously, I guess it's more of a status thing. It's like
Yeah.
I don't even think I'd know my name, but they'd want to marry you, they'd want to date you, they'd want to,
yeah.
and like in the resort industry, your job is to be nice to guests,
Yeah.
but not all countries are like Australia. So like a lot of countries take it if you're nice, if you're being friendly, if you're like just a happy
Therefore, you want to
person,
go on a
they
date.
think that you're flirting with them,
Yeah.
and so they and it happens quite a lot. It doesn't matter
It
where I
happens a
am
lot
in the
to you
world,
'cause
because
you're
I
so
work
nice
with
to
so many
everyone.
different cultures. But like Dominican's one where literally they'd be like, I want to marry you within like 5 minutes of knowing you, and it's like I don't even think you know my name, bro. Like,
Yeah.
They just say it, I reckon.
well, I think it's also like visa purposes and stuff like that. They want to get out of their country, and like I think there's a lot more to it and
Yeah.
stuff.
Same
but
with the
like,
Filipinos as well too.
yeah, and
Yeah.
Caribbean boys are very
Yeah, it's not
very much
simple
players
like
as well. So,
So-
like,
So all of that stuff is not what I'm talking about.
Yeah, no, I was thinking we're going very off topic.
Yeah.
What I'm talking about
We're
is,
just
is
talking about that goal.
we're talking about when God gives us His power, we have to be careful to cherish it and guard it. So the enemy's going to come after you. For men, he's going to come after you with girls, gold, and glory. For women, it's the abuse of power and sexual immorality. This is what the church has,
What do you
has
mean by
measured.
sexual immorality?
You have an affair with someone in the church. They have an affair. So they and as far as abuse of power, Margaret Thatcher would be a classic example. Women turn into tyrants. No compassion. Just it's the power is addictive, and this is what the devil's going to come at you with. So you be aware of it. An abuse of power. The devil's going to come to you with abusive suggestions of power.
Using
Wouldn't
it
it
in
be
the wrong
Hitler, though?
ways.
Of course he does.
For your own
And you know,
motives.
and he does come to men in the same way. But in the church archives, when they've sort of looked down the history, for women that have risen up through the ranks and then fallen, it's usually either they just got, like Jezebel would be a classic example of abuse of power. Absolute abuse of power. So she had so much power and could have done so many good things with it, but instead she just became this tyrant. Margaret Thatcher did the same thing. There's other women you can sort of see. Jacinta Ardern, mate, that woman, just what she did to New Zealand was just,
Oh, that was a cult.
yeah.
Yeah, because she
Yeah.
she got a university degree through the Freemasons.
Yeah.
So she was in the Illuminati basically.
Yeah.
Mm.
Levels.